Hello, hello, hello. How's it going, everyone? How you doing today? Welcome back. Welcome to today's live early this morning. I can't be too long. As I said, got a lot going on today with family stuff and my son's birthday and things. So we'll be a fairly quick stream, I think. Mostly today, what I want to talk about is the absolute hilarity, which is the Premier League. And of course, the reality, which is, I shouldn't be saying this before we have a game because we lose tomorrow. We know exactly what the noise is going to be. That United really don't get enough credit, honestly, especially this season for some of the games, some of the wins that we get. There's some solid wins in there. The results this weekend have been amusing at best and hilarious at worst. But it just goes to show the reality is the Premier League is tough, man. The gaps between teams are never as big as people want to make them out to be. The gaps are not that big. They're small. The gaps between good, bad, winning, losing, the margins are not that big. We could talk first about Arsenal versus Wolves yesterday. We were getting trounced by fans online, by Twitter, by everybody, about how, oh my God, we only won 4-1 against Wolves. We conceded a goal to Wolves. We didn't get anything from Wolves. It was just Wolves away at the Molineux Stadium, where we, by the way, lost the last, I think, 2 or 3 times. And they're the worst Premier League team in history. And then here's Arsenal. 1.3 expected goals to 0.38. They scored 0 goals in this game. An own goal in the 94th and an own goal in the 70th. 2 own goals from Arsenal to beat the worst Premier League team in history. But we can't say that we did even decently well because everybody else would smash them, Arteta's a genius. Ruben Amorim management was awful, lackluster, sloppy, lame. The game should have been over at halftime. They conceded a goal. Fucking hell, man. And this was at home for Arsenal too, mind you. At home. Pathetic display. I watched it too. They have absolutely no fire, do Arsenal. They have absolutely no fire. But hey, that's football, man. And the fact of the matter is that there's so much chaos when you look at the results. There's so much chaos when you look at the results in the Premier League in general that you really can't take these results that happen. You cannot take these scores that happen, that you cannot take games and write off when you earn points. Every single point is worth something. Every single win is worth a lot, and that's just one example, obviously. There's so many when you look at results, just how chaotic they are, in general. I mean, Newcastle getting beat by Sunderland again.
They are top of the league and around 11 points above us, yeah.
Well, actually, yeah, they're 11 points above us. They could be 8 points above us. So what? That's my point. Exactly. They're 11 points above us, and they really, really struggled. See, we're not saying we're as good as Arsenal. That's not the point. Nobody's ever made that claim that we're on Arsenal's level. The point is, we're not on Arsenal's level, but somehow when we win 4-1 against Wolves, it gets written off. Somehow it's worth criticizing when we win 4-1, but it's a scrappy title winners type of game when Arsenal go in and win 2-1. That's the point. That's nothing to do with we're not on Arsenal's level. We know that. That's the point. They're 1.1 billion into their project, 43 signings. There you go, 6 years. Thanks for the stats shenanigans. I have them in my head, but you laid them out for me. We know we're not that good. We know we're not Arsenal. We're not saying we're as good as Arsenal. But then you cannot write off every time we get a victory. The Sunderland win was written off, and then, here they are, still in 7th, just beat Newcastle, 1-0 at home. It's like it's just constant. It's constantly like this every single day. that everything good we do
If you
gets
enjoy
written off.
watching us play, I'm happy for you.
I do enjoy watching us play. I'll always enjoy watching Manchester United play football. I always will. I certainly don't enjoy watching Arsenal play football. I can tell you that much. I watched that game yesterday. Nearly went to sleep during the whole thing, as I usually do during Arsenal's game. But they are good. It is effective, unfortunately. But there's that. I mean, then you got to take Forest and Spurs today. We can take a little laugh at that. Remember all the shouts Thomas Frank was two games into the season. Thomas Frank's system took him 2 games to implement his system. It's taken Amorim a year, taken Thomas Frank 2 games to implement his system with 0 big chances, 6 total shots, 1 shot on target in 90 minutes against Forest, losing 3-0. 2 games for Thomas Frank. 2 games for Thomas Frank. Do you think it's somewhat us writing ourselves off with sporadic awful performances? Yeah, see, here's the thing. Like I said, with United, this is the fact of it. At United, you can't just win. You have to win well. I asked the question yesterday, who actually plays good football regularly, right? We don't always get good results. That's why we're 25 points right now. That's why we're 11 off of the top, although it could be 8. We could be, 2 points off of City by the end of this or something. It's like, who plays good football regularly? Nobody. Nobody plays good football regularly. Our performances, because we watch them, because we're United in general, it's so over scrutinized, every aspect of our performance. Like this Aston Villa run, right? You cannot write it off. You cannot write it off. That it's 6 wins in a row for them in the Premier League. You cannot write it off. 10 games in a row, won in all comps or something. You cannot write it off. But they're scamming them every single day with terrible performances and great finishing. It's the truth. The performances are dire. They should have lost to West Ham today easily. Easily, they should have lost to West Ham today.
Do you think Mainu gets deployed in the 10 while Brian is away for AFCON?
I think there's a good chance of that. Yeah, Brian, actually. I do think there is a good chance that Mainu will play in the 10 sometimes. I certainly think he's going to get minutes there, whether it's subbed or starting. But, like you watch these Aston Villa games, I said it. They should have lost to Wolves. They scammed to win. They should have lost to West Ham. They scammed to win. Those are the bottom teams in the club, in the league. Those are the bottom teams in the league. They're not playing better football. They're playing extremely pragmatic wins, getting goals out of absolutely nothing. It's like, but so what? But so what? Here's the thing. I'm not criticizing it. They created 0.62 expected goals today and scored 3. And scored 3 goals. I'm not criticizing it. They had 4 shots on target and scored 3 times. This is how their games are every single week for Emery. Because the reality is this, okay? You don't have to perform amazing every single game to be a good team. That's why you end up looking at the table. The stats are good. They tell us how we're performing. The table tells us at the end of it, it is what it is. That's why you look at it. That's why you say, all right, points on the board. That's what matters more than anything. That's why you don't write off all of these good wins that we have. That's why you don't write off wins against, crappy teams, because it's not easy, man. There's so few teams that consistently dominate everybody. That consistently put in great performances. In fact, in this league and last year, to be fair, nobody's doing it. Nobody is going out every single week, dominating teams and winning like we used to see maybe City and Liverpool do for a few years. Nobody is. And yet, when you go to Europe, the Premier League teams are, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, anybody, but Premier League teams are doing quite well in Europe, are they not? Premier League teams are doing quite well in Europe. So it's an interesting thing we have here. I mean, Tottenham and United made the Europa League final last year, 15th and 16th. I think what people have not recognized yet is that The Premier League is, for sure, at the top level of football. It is. It has the best teams, and it is the toughest competition. And I think you could take any of the 15 teams in the Premier League and stick them in other leagues, and they're getting top 4 and 6 right now. It's that competitive. The gaps between these teams in terms of quality is very, 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 very small. Now, I think football in general is at a bit of a lull in terms of its overall talent. I think football in general is crap right now compared to some of its highs. I think the quality is quite low across the board for football. I watch Madrid and I'm like, they're not very good. You know, I watch a lot of these teams and I'm like, they're just not very good. A lot of the best teams in football. The Premier League is crazy. The Premier League is extremely tough. It is like a super league. Like, it's crazy. I mean, even the fact that we have 4 to 6 competitive clubs makes it tougher than everybody else. But now the rest are even harder than they used to be. You know, and yeah, I mean, Aston Villa are winning every game in Europe too. So it's by far the strongest league by far. But yeah, it's like, again, let's just take it as it comes. Be happy with the wins, man. They're worth a lot because winning ain't easy. Winning ain't easy. And in addition to winning ain't easy, performing really well ain't easy. You know? It just isn't. Stats matter when you look over the course of the season to measure performances. But far too often when you're looking at one-off games and wondering, oh, well, that one game we didn't perform that well. Okay, so the fuck what? It happens, man. It happens. Okay? Saw some news from DiMarzio that United were interested in, was kind of confirming, I guess, or talking further about the interest in Tyler Adams. I'm a little bit wary of this one. I'm a little wary of those links still at this point in time, but also because I don't know that I particularly trust DiMarzio. He was not very good for us last summer. I don't know why he'd be talking about Tyler Adams and United at this point in time. But there's obviously been they have looked at Tyler Adams, but we haven't really heard anything substantial to note that, you know, they're very, you know, that they've moved forward with it or anything like that as well as of yet. So I'm remaining wary at the moment of it being, you know, something substantial for us, or having too much substance. Right now, it doesn't feel like it. Right now, it feels like probably not. But yeah, that's the truth of it. And that means, you know, and it's crazy. I was just reading a thing here. It was like, you know, remember when Thomas Frank didn't need 3 transfer windows and his own players to get his club playing his way? Yeah, there you have it. But yeah, look, I the fact of the matter is, what Thomas Frank is a lesson is 2 things. Number 1, stepping up to bigger clubs isn't easy, even if Spurs aren't big. And number 2, it takes time to work your way back from a shit manager, you know? And Postecoglou turned Tottenham into a 16th place team, one of the worst defenses in history in their respect. We've been there. We were there. One of the worst defensive teams in history.
Odds on getting Semenyo? I reckon we don't buy anyone, but Kobe makes a huge comeback. Folded hands emoji.
Reckon we don't buy anyone, but Kobe makes a huge comeback. I would say the chances of that it's a higher odds that we buy somebody than Kobe makes a comeback. That's my feeling right now today. Odds on getting Semenyo, I think pretty low still, in the 20 to 30% range, maybe 25. You know, I think the best case, I think that it would be great if Kobe makes a return. I'd still think we need to buy somebody either way. But yeah, odds are pretty low on both of those at the moment. You know, it feels like there's no way back right now. But stranger things have happened. And look, at this point last season, Casemiro was not a part of Amarim's plans. He was not in the team at all. Some injuries, things happened. He started playing more games. Well, look where we are today. AFCON is coming. Players are leaving. Everybody moved on. And Everybody's moving. We're going to be short. If he can't, like, he could grab his opportunity is what I'm saying. There will be an opportunity. I feel like Xerxes has impressed Amram a little bit in the opportunities he's got here. He hasn't been amazing, but he hasn't been bad. He's worked hard. I feel as though that opportunity will be here for Kabi in the next month. The opportunity is coming. 5-6 games. He's going to get a big chance. I feel a start and at least a couple of starts in there. He's got to grab it with both hands. You know what I mean? He's got to grab it with both hands and really push himself on it. That's my feeling. And if he does, then I think we could see that turnaround. But I think it's happening. I think he will get his chance. Whether or not we have the AFCON players, I believe we do. Because like I said the other day, I feel like they haven't said anything, but like I feel like we would hear if they were leaving. And as well, you know, like Indika, Ivory Coast teammate of Ahmad's, right, is playing tomorrow for Roma, as far as I'm aware, as far as they've said. So if another teammate from the same country is able to play tomorrow, then Ahmad can play tomorrow, and it shouldn't mean anything. I think the silence indicates they will be there, because I think we'd be hearing if they weren't right now. Yeah, I think the silence is very, very clear that we will be seeing them tomorrow. So yeah, I'm just gonna stand on my soapbox every single week and preach and say, look, don't write off all of the wins. Don't panic over the draws. Let's just see. Look at how are we performing on average and how is the table looking on average, because at the end of the day, that's where it sorts it out. If we take ourselves now and look at where things are, which I think is quite interesting, we are approaching that moment where we can start to pull some daylight. After a weekend of results, we are in 8th, not 12th, the 13th. In fact, we are 3 points off of that. Like a few weeks ago, we would have been, in 11th or 12th at the end of the weekend, regardless of what we did. And it's like you lose and you're in 12th, you win, you're in 5th. Well, not anymore. Now we're finding ourselves in that 4 to 8 bracket, exactly where we're supposed to be, exactly where I've said we are. A draw would bring us up into 6th, believe it or not, because we actually improved our goal differential for once, thanks to that game against Wolves. So yes, a draw brings us into 4th, right behind Palace. I think that it's goal difference, right, that separates them on even points. Yeah, a draw brings us into 6th. A win brings us clear into 5th place, 2 points ahead of 6th, 7th, and 8th. 3 points ahead of 4 points ahead of what would be 9th, 5 points ahead of what would be 10th. So this is the moment where we can separate ourselves now and say, good, we are in that, not the best, but just the next tier of teams, just the next tier of teams there. We're not a part of this pack. We're not a part of this pack. That's what we don't want to be, is a part of this pack. That we cannot be there. We need to be in this pack at least, because that's where we should be by end of the season. You could expect Sunderland to fall off. Aston Villa, honestly, they can't keep getting away with this. I know that it's impressive. They're winning. Fair play to them. But they can't keep getting away with it. Still, impressive, fair play. If we'd won 9 games in a row in all competitions with the performance that they have, I'd be happy. I wouldn't care right now. It's been a long time. In the long term, I would be a bit worried. But in the short term, I'd be very, very thrilled. I'd be very, very thrilled. So I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna sit here and criticize teams for winning games. It's tough to win games of football in the Premier League in any case. But yeah, that's where we are. And look, if you look at the next games after Bournemouth, we are of course playing Aston Villa. And there's again some, Newcastle, Chelsea, Tottenham, Liverpool, Everton, Arsenal. A lot of games will be happening around us. It's big time. It's big time. But if United can get a win here, I think we'll be in good shape. When we look at the numbers on this again, after the games we've seen so far this weekend, United remain in third in expected goals. They're in third. They were in second before. Should be going ahead of Arsenal here, considering they created fuck all against Wolves. Goals scored. With one goal, we'll move back into third on goals scored. That's nice. Yeah, a decent game should see us, in terms of performance and everything, being where we should be, which is right around the top 4 or top 5, and I think we deserve it. I will love it, and I think we deserve it, honestly. I think that's where we are. Bournemouth, if you take a look at them, we looked at this yesterday, but Bournemouth have been an interesting team because if you here, let's take a look. If you look at Bournemouth's stats overall, they're not that bad. They've scored 21. They've conceded 24. So they've conceded a lot of goals, but only 2 more than us, but they have scored fewer. They're not terrible, right? However, I think it's more important to note that they've fallen off a cliff. So their form recently is 3, 7, 9, 12, 13 goals conceded in their last 6 games. They're at about over 2 goals per game in terms of conceding, and they've only been scoring 5 goals in 6 games. So less than 1 goal per game, less than 1 goal per game, and conceding more than 2 goals per game. So, they haven't been good right now. They've been good. They're good, but they ain't been good. You know what I mean? Like they haven't been good recently, like at all. Obviously we're playing them at home. Big opportunity. I mean, they're in 15th right now and only 20 points, -3. So haven't won in ages. This is one that you've got to win. And look, like I was just saying before, I'm not going to overreact, but these are games, I don't care how we get it done, that we do need to win. Before our players leave, before everything happens, before we get a little bit weaker, these are the games we've got to win. Because these are the games that, to me, tell us, these are the ones that tell us, yeah, we are improving. We're winning more consistently the games that we should. You know what I mean? We're winning more consistently the games that we should, the games that we're expected to. No more bullshit, right? No more, we can win. We don't have to win all of the ones we're supposed to, but we've got to win some of them. You know what I mean? Now, the problem with Bournemouth, why we've struggled with them, is that they are an incredibly strong pressing team. And unfortunately, if Šeško is still out, that hurts us. Because this is the same way that we could deal with pressing sides like Liverpool by going long into even though Šeško didn't play that game, to be fair. But I would say that our simple advantage here, given the form that they're in and negating their press, is United just go long. Just go long. We have the players to go long. We can just go long up front. I don't think they can deal with our forwards. Just go very direct in this game. Don't care how we play. Don't care how we perform. Don't fuck around with trying to play through their press and try and be fancy and show how good we are. Just play through them. Just play it over the top. Lump it up. Could be Xerxes with Cunha. Could be Xerxes with Mountain and Bumo. That's very possible. I would still go with Cunha, Mountain, and Bumo tomorrow. I shouldn't reveal that. That's a secret. But, I would still do that and just lump it up there and win the ball and get through. We'll see what happens with Šeško. Food poisoning. That could have cleared up overnight, and he could be fine to play. At least even on the bench as a sub would be very, very helpful. So we have some more attackers. We're at home at Old Trafford. Some more attackers would be nice in there as well. Okay, let's get to discussing the squad and stuff for the game, because like I said, I've got to be fairly quick today in terms of what we think United should do in this game. I know that the big debate is obviously going to be about one of the big debates anyway is obviously going to be up front. Are we going with with the Mount Cunha, Mount Cunha Xerxes trifecta, who deserves to start right now? The midfield, who should start? And at the back as well, I think we have some questions. Who should be there? Somebody sent me some interesting stats. Somebody sent me some interesting stats, by the way, this morning. Someone just DM'd me. I didn't respond to them yet, but someone DM'd me and I was like, huh. He said, United this season with Bayindir in goal, 6 games, 11 goals conceded, 6 goals scored. With Lamens in goal, 9 games, goals conceded 11, goals scored 20. Goals rate is 2.22, conceding rate is 1.22. City are scoring at a rate of 2.33 and goals conceding at 1.06. Yeah, it's interesting. It is an interesting stat. It is an interesting stat that it's interesting how much it's changed overall from those first 6 games as well, in terms of just the general numbers and things. Obviously, Lamens has made a huge difference, but is Mbumo out or something? No, he's not out. So let's do our team vote. Obviously, these are the 3 we know that we're going for. Who should be start? This is the question. Who should be starting up top now in this game? Are you going Xerxes? Those are the 3 that never change. Striker. Are we going? Forgot how to do these polls. Are we going Xerxes, Cunha? Who's going for that one? Assuming that Šeško is, assuming that Šeško is not starting, obviously, because he's not been fit. He's obviously not going to be fit to start, so I'm not putting him in the starting choice here because he's very clearly not going to be fit to start. Even if he's in the squad, he's not played in a while. So let's see. All right. Nothing against Xerxes, but we can't drop Cunha Mounds in form. Well, yeah, and look, I rewatched the game with Cunha against Wolves. I'll be honest, I still thought he didn't have a great game. Yeah, there was a lot of heavy touches, things like that. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, he's very effective getting us into the attacking position. So I think it's probably right that he still should be playing. Mount or Xerxes. You can't drop Mason Mount right now, can you? He was absolutely stunning the other day. Absolutely stunning. All right, let's go to the left. Are we sticking with Dalot after another decent game against Wolves? He's quietly stringing together performances that are worthy of a start. Yeah. I think you have to go with Dalot right now. You can't not. I mean, he misses a sitter, but still. Cunha should be starting as 10. I agree with you, but if Šeško was playing, I would still consider going with Cunha, Šeško, and Mbumo to get it going, but without Šeško, I think you gotta get these guys on the pitch. We've also got an incredible win rate when Mount starts, like 70-something%. One thing I do want to discuss on Dorgu, because I see this a lot. Like, let's say Dorgu turns out to be not a successful signing. One of the things we've got to do is not worry too much if not every signing works out, especially not right away. We've got to not worry if not every signing works out. Not every signing works out for anyone. Nobody has a 100% hit rate. I think most of our signings this summer are working. I really like Šeško, Lamens, and Mbumo. Cunha's not really fired yet, but he's doing well. Not every signing works out, but that's okay. It's okay. We can just If it doesn't, all right, we go back. We got to do it again. Get some more players in. You know what I mean? Let's in that way maybe we take a little bit of the pressure off, especially the ones that are like 20 million, like Dorgu, cheap young players. Maybe we just chill. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and we move on with our day. But maybe that way it helps us take the pressure off them a little bit, because we shouldn't need to be in a position where every signing does have to work out. You know what I'm saying? All right, let's go Bruno, Menu, Ugarte for the midfield. Who should be starting on the left? I will give you the other options of Menu and Ugarte on the right, because maybe people would say Bruno and Menu. You know what I mean? I suspect people will vote Bruno and Menu this week, but maybe that's just me. All right, Bruno's obviously playing there. And look, for now, despite all my criticism of Bruno, I still think he should be playing. But he should be playing. It's the other partner that is sort of baffling to me, of like, who should start next to Bruno. I cannot understand. Like we were talking about yesterday, I don't know what people are seeing in Casemiro. I genuinely don't. I don't know what he's offering. I have no idea. And there's a lot of people. By the votes, you can see it as well. He'll probably win the vote again. What is Casemiro bringing? I don't get it. We're going to have to do it. We're going to have to do this thing. Where I probably this week, if Casemiro starts again, I'll tell you what, I'm going to make a commitment to you guys, but this is unfortunately a Patreon perk, okay? It's going to be a Patreon perk. It has to be, because I can't do it everywhere. This week, I'm going to do a full streamed watch along of the game. Maybe not the whole game, but later, like sometime during the week in Patreon. And we're going to watch Casemiro. And then we will, I want to see if anyone can disagree if we just sit there together and watch Casemiro. It'll be for Patrons, but we'll do it this week. And it's going to be fun. Because I'm baffled by it, and I want to understand it. I would genuinely start Ugarte over him, and I have no idea. And I mean that. I actually mean that. James, respectfully, you need to watch. Respectfully, I probably watch more than you. Respectfully. I always love the respectfully word. It's like, respectfully, you're a fucking idiot. You've watched not enough football. You can't understand. It's too high IQ. Respectfully. No, respectfully, I don't rate players that can't run. It's like, it's the number one thing in football is the ability to get around. Like, you have to run a lot. It's the most running intensive sport. I understand Casemiro's role. He's bad at it. Ugarte is a worse player, but it is funny because, like, I watched the City game and I was like, why is he getting all the blame? And I went through the whole thing with it. And I genuinely don't think, I think Casemiro, what he does every single game are the things people decided Ugarte was a bad player for. And that doesn't make Ugarte having been successful, because he was doing them too. You know what I'm saying? But Casemiro does the things that people look at Ugarte every single day and go, he's shit. Casemiro does them every single game. Every single game. He gives the ball away 3 times as much as Ugarte does, statistically. He gives it away constantly. Okay? Like, he does everything that Ugarte gets criticized for, Casemiro does too. In fact, in more quantity. But it goes under the radar because you get some flashy over-the-top first-time ball. You know what I mean? But yeah, if you put Casemiro's brain in Ugarte's body, that would probably help. But yeah, we don't have that. We don't have that option. All right, we'll give it a couple more votes. Gomez was good against Arsenal. Yeah, he was really good against Arsenal. I'm very disappointed at the idea we wouldn't get him He would walk into and through our midfield with ease. All right, looks like Manu squeezes the vote on this one. What do you mean I'm the one laughing, which is an eye-opener? What does that mean? What does that mean? It's not missing parts. You have an opinion. Why don't you just state it as an opinion instead of stating that I don't know? I said that I don't see what other people see, and that's why I want to go through it, because I respect that other people have other views. Doesn't mean they don't know football, just because they see things differently. That's what makes your comment crappy. When you imply that anybody who has a different opinion to you doesn't actually know something or specifically say it, that's the difference. All right, left center back Shaw. Does Lissandro get into it? Does Heaven get into there? Who should go on the left? The fact is, I know exactly what Casemiro's role is, and I know exactly what Casemiro's role is in a Ruben Amorim team. I know it. I know exactly what he's supposed to do. He's not doing that job well. That's why our defense sucks. That's why our defense is terrible. It's a huge part of it. If he was doing his role well, we would be defending better. We wouldn't concede so much. Our midfield wouldn't be so open. But 74% passing is not a part of the role. 0 tackles in 3 games is not a part of the role. The only thing he really is offering right now is aerial presence in the box. His positional awareness hasn't been very good recently either, in my opinion, when I watch Mudo. And I've kind of shown that in a bunch of post-match things where he's often standing wrong side of the ball and then rushing to get back. You haven't upset me. It's just generally when you come in and say, like, just say, your opinion. That's all. I'm just going against the idea that not rating Casemiro means you don't understand. I do understand, actually. I really, really do understand exactly what he's supposed to do. That doesn't mean he's doing it. Shaw, all right. Shaw's getting in there again as well. CCB, Evan, his positional awareness was brilliant against Wolves. Okay. All right. You can see it that way if you want. All right. Heaven, Delict, I don't believe is back, so we're going to leave him out. In the middle, we could go Heaven or Euro, I guess. All I would say is watch Casemiro's position on the goal that they scored and what led up to that. His turnover, his not chasing his man back, his marking nobody in the box. There was no good positioning. We wouldn't have conceded if his positioning was very good in that game. All you have to do is watch that goal to see it. It happens many times during the game. But watch it yourself again with a focus purely on Casemiro and see what your thoughts are. Let's go Aiden Heaven in the middle again. Yes, I think he deserves another game. All right. And then on the right, Yoro Mazraoui. We just stick with it. Delict's injury isn't a mystery, but it's a back injury. So he's probably got one of those like hot spots or like little stress things, you know what I mean? Where it comes and goes, which kind of sucks. Like, and you just have to wait until there's no discomfort, because otherwise it can turn into like a, like a fracture type of thing. Remember how Hoyland had that, but kind of had to wait it out, All right, Mazraoui gets that. Yeah, look, I think this is a good team, guys. I think this is a good team. Let's see. I think I've gone with the exact. Look at that. You can't see anything because the screen here. Let me, if I do like that way you can see that I'm switching tabs. We've gone with the exact same team. This might be a first. No, you know what? I think one time earlier this season we went with the same team, all of us. We went with the same team. But yeah, I think this is the best team we could play right now. As a reminder, as well, I will be live before the match tomorrow. Because it's a Monday, I'll be good. But as well, I will be live over on Big Up, and you can go and get your picks in for the game there. I haven't made my selections yet. I feel like Mbumo's going to get something done before he leaves. It feels like there's going to be goals in this game as well. So there'll be over 3.5 goals. That's a big one, but I feel it's going to happen. I don't think Xerxes will because of the open up and down nature of the game. If I was to pick 3, I'd probably go with those 3 as my safest bets right now. I could go with those 3 as my safest bets right now. His passing was a 7.5 out of 10. He has 74% passing from the 6, Kerwin. 74% passing from a defender. He literally turned it over for the goal. I don't know how you can say that. But hey, we see it in different ways. One day we will see. But yeah, those were probably the picks that I would make. Anyway, the link is there above as well. And again, here's your team that you've selected. Here's a team that you've selected. And yeah. So that's it. Let's hope we can get a win. We've seen Bruno and Manu together before. It was a disaster. When? You mean in the second half against Brighton? I mean, very, very different game state. Bruno was also flagging pretty hard by then at that point in time. Over 3.5, because that means 4. So it's just usually how those things are done. 74% is 7.5 out of 10. That's true. If 50% right, yeah. If that's your rating scale, that's fair enough. That's fair. That could be a way to rate it. It could be fair enough. But yeah, in my view, a number 6 should have about 90% passing. Aiden Heaven had 100% passing, for reference, out of a center back. If we go back to that game, just like for reference from a defensive point of view, right? If you look at like what constitutes a good performance passing, Aiden Heaven was at 100% passing in this game. 100% passing. Oh, it got upgraded to 75. 68% in your own half. That means 7 out of 22 passes in his own half was a turnover. You know what I mean? That's terrible. That puts you in so much danger when you're when you're turning the ball over in your own half like that. Anyway, it's all good. You can have a different view on it. Maz was at 90%. Shaw was at 84, which isn't high, but at least it's 89% in his own half. So anyway, it's all good. Anyway, that's it, guys. Thank you very much. I appreciate you all hanging out today. Let's hope we get a good performance tomorrow. I'll be back before the game live, probably, 6:30 or something. Do the pre-match, look at the lineups, check it out, and then head on over for the watch along. Ooh, big save there. And yeah. All right. I'll see you later, everybody. Have a good one. Goodbye. Enjoy the rest of your day.